Gen Z is bucking the expectation of getting a college degree and starting a white collar career. In fact, they're opting for the trades and are instead going to trade schools, which I actually think is really, really smart. So if you're unfamiliar with what trade schools offer, it's usually professions having to do with, actually working with your hands, things like construction and welding. Now, this is all according to a new Wall Street Journal piece, and they compiled some pretty interesting data on the trend. The number of students enrolled in vocational focused community colleges rose 16% last year to its highest level since the National Student Clearinghouse began tracking such data a long time ago in 2018.
You didn't get around to it until 2018? Those schools aren't new.
I know. But look, to be fair, I've anecdotally noticed this trend, and it's because there is a shortage of skilled workers in these trades, in these professions. And so when there's a lot of job openings and you can make really, really good money, even working for yourself if you have these skills, I think it makes a lot of sense. And it's less likely that you will lose these jobs to AI, right? AI is more of a threat to people like us. So yeah,
we're in the waning days of our career, but yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. I think that there's obviously demand for it, and the demand in this sort of thing can be driven by the fact that people age out. So, like carpenters or whatever, there used to be far more. A lot of them don't work anymore, so suddenly there's not, which means that the price they can demand goes up. And for both of those reasons, it can be a more attractive thing for people to get those jobs. But also, college has become more and more expensive.
Yes.
And so both of those things I think might be squeezing people to make them consider things they might not otherwise have.
I totally agree with that analysis. So let's get into some more specifics about certain trades and how they've experienced an increase in young students wanting to learn the skill. So the ranks of students studying construction trades, for instance, rose 23% during that same time period, while those in programs covering HVAC and vehicle maintenance and repair increased 7%. I remember there was a brief period of time early on in our relationship where my husband was considering going to trade school for HVAC installation and stuff like that. They make an insane amount of money.
They make a lot of money, yeah.
Insane amount of money. Like people love their ACs.
Yeah.
And
I
they
think
be breaking. They be breaking and they need fixing.
It's not like things are gonna get colder in the future, so yeah, I think we're probably gonna need a lot of that, including in areas. There's a lot of areas of the country that have never traditionally, it hasn't been super widespread to have AC, especially like a whole home AC, that now in the future might start to do that in new construction.
Totally true. What I also love is that these are the kinds of jobs where you can put a podcast on and do your thing. You don't need to have too much communication with people around you.
I mean, I have no idea if that's the case, but that sounds good. I like that.
It seems to be the case, just based on my interactions with people I've hired.
Oh yeah.
To carry out the jobs that the trades would require.
Yeah, look, I think a lot of this is probably economic, both seeing the opportunity, pursuing it, and also being priced out of college. It's also possible. I'm not saying this is what it is, but I think that there's so much that is abstract and digital these days that there might be an appeal of doing something with your hands, something concrete and real and durable. And I think that we certainly see that manifesting in some hobby areas that are exploding in popularity, and maybe that's an influence on the job stuff too.
What hobby areas are exploding in popularity?
I mean, tabletop board gaming is like leaps and bounds ahead of where it was a couple of decades ago. It is. Role-playing games are far more popular than they ever were before.
You were the best. You built a table like that, didn't you?
I've built multiple. I built my barn door. I built a coffee table that has a recessed gaming vault in it. But also things like like kickball leagues and stuff like that.
That's true, yeah.
People are feeling isolated. Things that get them together that are real in the real world can be appealing.
Totally, and people do. Look, I think that there's like a certain satisfaction that comes from building something, right? Like, I'll compare it to this profession. This profession is, I believe, important, right? If you're doing it correctly and you're trying to provide information to people in good faith, but sometimes you don't see the fruits of your labor. Like, you get what I'm saying? Whereas when you build something, you build something, there's a beginning, middle, end, voila, I have built something. Like there's something really satisfying about that. Like you see the fruits of your labor right then and there.
I mean, I couldn't agree more. Obviously, we both like doing woodworking, but yeah, I built a bench and I built tables and I built shelves and I've done all that stuff. And it is nice to see something and know that you built it. That is nice.
100%.
Whereas in this case, the only time that we really know for sure that we've done anything is when like the fans reach out and let us know.
Exactly.
Which is very nice.
Which we always appreciate.
Yeah, and we need right now. Please do that.
Please tell us how amazing and important we are.
Tell us how nice our sneakers are.
In a survey of high school and college age people by software company Jobber last year, 75% said they would be interested in vocational schools offering paid on-the-job training. And that's the other thing, it's definitely different from a traditional four-year university because you sometimes also get paid as you learn in the trades.
Apprenticeship, yeah.
And so, I think that this is a good development, and I give members of Gen Z a lot of credit for thinking a little outside the box and kind of bucking that trend of going to a four-year college or university. It's not necessarily the right option for everyone, right? And so looking at other options and thinking of your education as an investment rather than something you just do mindlessly because your parents expect you to do it is important. It really is, because it is an important decision to make that could have repercussions for the rest of your life if you make the wrong decision.